Hey Eurovision fans, it's Tom coming to you from Liverpool and I'm back for another Eurovision analysis video. Today I'm going to be giving you a preview of the final of Eurovision 2023. I saw the dress rehearsal yesterday, so I'm going to go through the running order and tell you where are the highs and lows, who are potential jury winners and televote winners, and what could happen in the Eurovision final. So let's geeky. So I'm hoping to do two videos today. This one I'm going to be going through the whole final, telling you the feel about it and some of the things about the show. And I'm hoping to also put out a shorter video where I talk about who I think can win and why and what could potentially happen in terms of like final scores. Fingers crossed I can get both of them out. Some Wi-Fi problems in the press center, so that is a limiting factor. Let's briefly talk about the show. It is really spectacular. Amazing opening, this beautiful fusion of British and Ukrainian music coming together, loads of really great live performances, amazing LEDs, like top notch. The presenters are incredible. We have Graham in the final now. He's got great chemistry with everybody, and it's going to be Graham and Hannah who are announcing the results at the end. Safe pair of hands. Really excellent at ad-libbing in case any small problems come up. They've got great banter with each other and a little bit of cheekiness as well. They're very good at reacting if anything goes off script or anyone in the audience shouts something out or anything like that. The interval act is very well done. Everything's very tasteful and feels fun and cultural, and the whole show just has a very fast pace. It's extremely entertaining, and the running order as well, like there's really no down parts. You know, we often talk about a toilet break moment. I'm sure some people have songs that they don't particularly like, but last year when we had that 6 block where we had a lot of ballads and slower songs after each other, we don't have that this year. It is pretty well paced. We've got interesting styles of music in each half. I think it's a very entertaining show. I was totally bedazzled for the whole thing. I wasn't thinking about the toilet or trying to get to the toilet at any point, but that just might be me. I might have a strong bladder. Speaking of strong bladders, I want to thank everybody who's been supporting me on Buy Me a Coffee, and this is photographic evidence that I do actually consume coffee. It's not a metaphorical coffee that you're supporting me with, it's a literal coffee, and I'm not sponsored by Costa, but I want to be sponsored by Costa because I do consume. Other coffee shops are available. How did this turn into an ad for Costa? It's not an ad for Costa. Let's go through the running order. So we're starting off with Austria. Look, this is a really fun start. I'm kind of disappointed that they're first because I did want them to be a potential dark horse to win. It's such a fun, amazing song with so much depth and humor in it. I'm guessing they didn't win their semi-final. We usually see a strong song start because they want to start with bang. They want to keep the people intrigued and interested. So I get why it's opening. But yeah, you can still come top 10 from the first slot. We saw that with Mari Yamarchuk for Ukraine in 2014, Laura Tesoro in 2016 with Belgium, and the girl Drip Drop from Azerbaijan 2010. It's totally possible. I hope that this comes top 10 because it totally deserves it. Don't forget to vote for them. If you love po, get poing. It's really impotent. That sounds like impotent. You know what I meant. I was trying to make a pun on po. Second up in the death slot is Portugal. I'm hoping she can turn things around. This is a little bit unfortunate for Portugal because they were third last year with Maro, who also had an incredible song. So look, just really bad luck during first half both times and not being a big enough favorite to get given a really good order. I hope that people will still remember this because she's such an incredible performer. But yeah, it's going to be tough from the death slot. Third up we have Switzerland. They also were early last year. They were fifth with Marius Bear, so kind of sucks these countries like keep getting drawn first half. A lot of people agree that this could do really well with the jury, so running order wouldn't affect it as much there. It could potentially go top 10, top 5 with the jury even. It really does have that like very classy quality. Plus the vocals are excellent as well. In terms of the televote, yeah, I think this is going to be pretty devastating for him. I still do think he'll get points. I think that this has like a very niche appeal and it does stand out. But yeah, being so far back and with the amount of like explosive shows coming up after him, he might get forgotten. The show flows really well at the start though. Okay, fourth we have Blanca adding a little bit of fun and spice and happiness. I thought that she might open, but no. Look, this is bouncy and carefree and gets a little bit of a party started, so I'm surprised they didn't keep Poland or Portugal for a little bit later. As I'm going to talk about, it does get quite intense in a period, and I feel like one of those two songs could have broken that up. I largely think the running order is good, but that's one part I think is a little bit unusual. Fifth up is Serbia, which is my favorite song this year. Yeah, I'm happy he didn't get put too early. A lot of people thought this would be second or third, but he already had third in the semi-final, so I think they were probably thinking, okay, we need to put them a little bit later. It's a bit unfair. Someone put out some fake results from the semi-final on Twitter. I think they put Serbia third in the semi-final, which I think is slightly wishful thinking above Sweden. I was happy to see him so high in the fake results. I'm still hoping this can squeak onto the left side of the scoreboard. That would feel really awesome for me. It does have a like very niche appeal in its kind of Asian cultural elements and the computer game feel and this 9 Inch Nails 90s sound, so it is really unique, and I'm hoping that there will be big televoters for it. I think left side of the scoreboard would be really great for this. If it came top 10 I would be absolutely ecstatic, but I'm not expecting that. Getting into France in 6th, we have our first big favorite. Interesting toss-up between France and Spain that they decided to put them in this order. Potentially they're thinking that Spain has a little bit more potential, or I'm not sure what the reasoning is for that, but I don't know if the running order between 6th and 8th is going to be massively different. In her jury show last night, she was pretty solid. I think she struggles a little bit in the lower registers when she needs to sing softer. When she's doing the big loud notes, she sounds absolutely spectacular, and her final note last night was really excellent. So she's going to do well with the jury. The televote being 6th, quite far back, plus all the stuff coming up, I kind of struggle to see how she could get a high enough televote to win, personally. I'm still hoping that this does really, really well because it's such a classy, put together entry, and I want France to be rewarded for how consistently excellent they are and how much effort they put in and thought, and just like small details that they add, which I think are really feel very respectful to the competition. And I do think that she really stands out between Serbia and Cyprus. I think that's a good running order for her in terms of like showing off her uniqueness, so that's definitely a strong point for it. Really hoping that this comes at least top 10, and hopefully it's pushing into the top 5. Okay, number 7 we have Andrew Lambrew. I think this is a slightly difficult draw for him. He's between two extremely powerful women. He does give a great performance. He sounds very good. I've said 100 times, it's quite safe. It's beautiful nature imagery. A handsome guy with kind of simple styling. There's nothing extremely extravagant about it. His outfit is like a quite simple ninja outfit. He actually called it a ninja outfit in his press conference. Yeah, I wonder, could this potentially be someone? I think this might be bottom 5. I'm more than happy if it surprises. But like I've said before, I think this and Lithuania, their downfall is their safeness, which is what got them into the final. So happy for a surprise, but I think he might be a bit in trouble being between two big powerhouses. Now we get to 8th, one of the potential favorites. So Blanca in the jury show blew my socks off. First of all, her vocals were absolute and utter perfection, and this is something she's had in every performance. So there's some acts where like, oh, are they going to get the vocals right today? You know, Alessandra, Garia as well towards the end. Lorraine's had a couple of vocal blips. Even Lazare from France has had vocal issues as well. Blanca's never had a vocal issue ever. Literally, I can't remember a single time that a note was off, or that she was late coming in, or there was a tremble or a break or anything. She's literally perfection 100% of the time. It's incredibly impressive. This really gave me chills. My palms were sweaty at the end of this. They've added a couple of extra things in, some small like blinking light things, some extra electronic elements. That bit where a woman shouts Blanca Paloma, lots of stuff that can give you chills. Like, I really do think that the jury should respect this. It's very artistic. It shows off the Spanish culture in a beautiful way. I really do think this is the type of entry that Eurovision should be promoting, because Eurovision is about coming together, showing off your culture while also accepting others. This feels like a slice of Spanish culture, beautifully presented. Blanca's absolutely utterly divine. She's a real artist. Her performance style, her impeccable vocals, as I've already talked about. The jury should be rewarding this. The televote is still really hard to predict. A lady who I did an interview with for Spanish TV was telling me about the details about this note that she does. I can't remember the name for it, medicima or something. It's a type of trembling flamenco note that's very hard to sing. We were talking about how some people really love this sound and some people really hate it. So we've had that reaction that some people really don't enjoy that vocal, and some people like me think it's absolutely mesmerizing and feels like this ancient beckoning call. It's a little bit like the white noise thing that we have with Goe and Shum. Some people just don't particularly like that sound. I think the people who like it will really like it and be touched, and hopefully the televote will reflect that. I would be really sad if this gets a low televote. I know Spanish people are really concerned about that. I understand why they're concerned. I think it's very hard to know, will this do well or not with the televote. The performance is really intense, and that's why it's interesting they put Sweden next, because you have Blanca Paloma and then you have Lorraine afterwards, and these are the two of the most intense female performances this year, probably the top two. They kind of upstage each other. It really is noticeable how you have this very intense performance from Blanca. We do have an ad break. They're still connected, like they're one after the other, and then we go straight into Lorraine because obviously her box needs to be wheeled on. This is a really intense period, and this is just the start of it. So yeah, those two being together I think really doesn't help either of them in terms of the televote. Obviously I think the jury is less susceptible to that because they really do consider every single song, and they usually know most of the songs before they go into the final anyway. But yeah, Lorraine's performance was great on the jury show. Some people were saying that she was off. I think she sounded mostly fine. She was a little bit behind in some parts, like she was like a tiny bit late. There were some trembles, but I actually thought it added a vulnerability and rawness to it, which Sweden sometimes lacks that vulnerability, that kind of connection with the viewer. So I actually think that could help her a tiny bit. But yeah, this back to back is really intense. And then we go straight into another really intense female vocal with Albania. Now obviously it's the whole family, but Albania is like the focal point. She's extremely intense. She's like almost crying on the stage. So it's like this really intense back to back female, dark, passionate performances. You know, if they had something to break them up like Poland or Portugal, I know they're female acts as well, but the feel is much lighter. I think actually Poland would have been useful to put in between those two, or in between. Maybe Poland were so low down in the semi-final they didn't want to give it such a prime slot, but yeah, like in fairness, the first half is quite dark. Like there's like very few happiest. We got Poland and Portugal and Austria. They could have used Austria as well, actually. Albania being there, so we continue the intensity, and it doesn't get any less intense because we have Marco, who blew my socks off yesterday. Vocally, we knew he was going to be impeccable, but I really like this staging, this beautiful moon, and these dancers doing the trampoline stuff. The trampoline stuff is mostly cool. There are some parts where it feels a tiny bit corny, but I still think it's brilliant. And his outfit's fantastic, and everyone's doing the thing in the crowd with the lights, so there's a real atmosphere here. I think many of the older generation will really enjoy this because it has like a timeless classic feel. Everyone of all ages can like it, but I do feel like that generation possibly will enjoy it even more, and this will be their favorite song. Jury wise, I think it's almost definitely top 3. Televote, I'm not as sure. Again, it depends how much of people who enjoy that more classic style tune in and watch, or do we have more people who are tuning in to see Croatia and Garia and Lorraine and kind of like big spectacles. It doesn't get any less intense because we're going into Alika, who's got one of the best vocals this year. Really impressive that she's able to move around the stage and still keep her voice the entire time. She has so many things to hit. She has choreography as well. She's totally on her own. She has no dancers. She has to carry the whole performance, and she does it perfectly every single time. Never misses a note. Very similar to Blanca. Really impressive. She's such an impressive woman. Totally deserves her plot in the final. I'm glad that she's been given such a really nice running order draw, despite being first half. Possibly she did well in the semi-final. That's very possible. This really elevated for me as someone who wasn't massively obsessed with the song. Look at this 5 streak. Spain, Sweden, Albania, Italy, Estonia. That is intense. There's a lot of passion and emotion and anguish in there. There's very little happiness and explosions and party and let's have a pina colada. And that's why I think Gara coming in at 13th is going to really pop, because we have this period of reflection and introspective existential crisis, and then Gary comes along and it's party, it's crazy. We've got ballroom dancers exploding out of boxes. We've got him on an LED with his licking lizard tongue. This is just gonna absolutely whack people awake. Now, really, when they were making the running order, they wanted to put Finland and Sweden as far apart as possible. Lorraine had to be here because of the ad break, so they put her first because of that. So I wouldn't say that Carrie being 13th meant he won the semi. It's more a practical element. They need this extra time in the ad break to bring Lorraine's box on. They need to utilize that extra time because it is quite difficult to do. This was good in the jury show last night. When you're in the arena, the vocals sound great. When you're on TV, it does sound a tiny bit less forceful in the Schlager bit. The rap bit's absolute perfection. That's obviously his comfort zone. The Schlager bit, yeah, he does have a backing vocal and they're more in sync now, so it sounds better. I could probably take my glasses off. I'm taking my glasses off. Yeah, I think this running order for him is really super favorable, coming at the end of that gap. We saw last year when we had those 6 more slow, intense ballad songs from 13th to 18th in the running order, and then we had Moldova come in and just start the party, and then they ended up coming second in the televote, which was kind of a lot higher than expected. So I still expect Gary to win the televote. It's not guaranteed, like there might be a surprise, but he is the most likely person. And then it's a case of how big can this be? This running order is really favorable. Obviously being in the second half would have been even better, but in terms of being drawn in the first half, it's as good as you can get. Yeah, it just highlights all the things of the songs, the carefreeness, the letting go, the happiness, the joy, all of that's really emphasized by what precedes it. Next up is Vesna. This is so gorgeous. I really hope this comes top 10. I think we're possibly sleeping on it a little bit in the community because we're just so used to it. It came out so early in the season. We had the music video, which has such a huge impact. This staging is so delightful, really beautiful, deep message. I think it's very thoughtfully and carefully portrayed on the stage. I think their performances are excellent considering where they were in the pre-parties, where they looked a little bit awkward and uncomfortable. This looks so rehearsed and choreographed in a good way. It doesn't look over choreographed. It looks very meticulously planned so that it feels really respectful. All 6 of them are great. I'm always looking at all their faces to see is anyone looking awkward or are their eyes darting like Albin tends to do from Familia Calmendi. There's none of that. They're all super focused. They want to deliver this message. The braids is gorgeous. Their beautiful outfits. This pink silver color palette. There's so many divine things here. I hope this does a little bit of surprise, because not too many people are talking about it. I would love it to be top 10 in the televote. I would love it to be top 10 in the jury. This is so gorgeous, and Czechia in Eurovision are just amazing. We almost lost them this year. Remember that they were about to withdraw. Thank God they didn't withdraw, because I properly miss them. They bring such a different point of view. Next up we have Australia. So this is again something that is being done because of the ad break. So we have an ad break. I think it's either between after 15 or after 16. I'm pretty sure it's that, but they need to bring his car on. The other aspect of this is they wanted to separate Germany and Australia, and I think that they're giving Germany a better running order. Part of it is financial, because obviously they need the viewers from Germany, which is a huge market. You got to keep in mind this is a business as well. They need to get their income, so I totally appreciate that. And it's also Germany coming with something strong after a streak of very bad results. So I think they're like trying to reward them for sending something so good this year. So that's why they've put them late. And then because of that, you have to put Australia a little bit farther back. I still think this is going to pop. I still think it should do really well with the televote. We've seen that generally with the semi-finals. Australia actually do pretty well. In the final, a little bit less so. So I would like to see that streak break, that actually in the final as well, Australia does just as well with the televote with the casual fan. But yeah, I'm really rooting for them. I absolutely adore them. They're amazing performers, and we need Australia in the competition next year. Okay, next up is Belgium. So I believe that the car is going to come off, and then Gustav's stage is going to come on. I saw someone posting earlier that they think Gustav's going to win. I would be okay if that was a shock win. I don't think it's going to happen, but this is such a beautiful, deep, representative entry from Gustav, and to think that he came from a place where he won his national final, and honestly quite a lot of people weren't too happy about it, and now we've come to the point where he's absolutely adored in the fandom. People are rooting for him to win. He's gone way up in the odds. It's such a happy turnaround, and I think this has maybe broken down a couple of barriers. There is a little bit of ageism sometimes in the Eurovision community, and I think him being an older performer, people have really seen that older generations can come on and perform and offer something. So I think he's subconsciously like breaking down some of those barriers, and I just think the staging is really beautiful. The entrance of the dancer is so cleverly done. The color story is really beautiful. Everything looks very clean and well organized, and Belgium were on this 3 qualification streak. I hope that they can do some damage here. I think this will do solidly in the jury. I'm hoping this is a little bit of a surprise in the televote. That would be very joyous. Okay, next up we have Armenia, a really unknown quantity. Those fake results I talked about earlier, Armenia actually won their semi-final in them. But still cute that that person was a brunette stan. Yeah, I definitely hope this does better than Snap did last year, came 20th. She's the only finalist who's written the entire song by herself, entirely by herself, which is incredibly impressive. Plus she's got the dance break as well. She added that in because she enjoys dancing. She always had the dance break. They actually made 2 versions of the song when they recorded it. So curious to see how this does. I would expect it's going to do pretty well in the jury, maybe 10 or so, top 10. No idea how this is going to do in the televote. I honestly have no idea. Honestly, this part of the show really flows. There's just such a mix-up. You go Gary, and then Vesna feels very different, and then you're into a rock song, and then you're into Gustav, and then you're into Armenia. So whereas the first half there is kind of like one period where it does feel a tiny bit samey, the second half is just all over the place in terms of musical styles and presentations and color palettes. And yeah, there's definitely nothing boring in the second half whatsoever. Even though there's less big hitters, there's less potential winners there, there's still lots of stuff that really pops. For example, now going from Armenia into Moldova, like completely different. I'm so impressed by how well organized this is. If you look on the stage at both drummers, both ladies, Pan and Pasha, every single person has choreography for the whole thing. Even the drummers who are in the background, they're doing different things for the whole 3 minutes. I was watching it in the arena, so I was like, this is mind-blowing, the organization that's gone in and the thought. And you know that Moldova doesn't have big budgets, but they find a workaround. They've given this drummer something to do so that he's entertaining throughout the whole performance. And because they've got so many things going on, they have so many options with their camera cuts, because there's so many exciting things to look at. This is really well organized, really well choreographed. Moldova are the poster children for how you do not need a big budget to do extremely well at Eurovision. You just need to be very thoughtful, innovation. Dorato's, their staging with My Lucky Day was very clever as well. This is the same. Their qualification record is a testament to passion, hard work, finding solutions when you don't have a lot of money. Really impressive. I hope this does well. It deserves to. Next up we have Ukraine. I thought this is fantastic. I feel like the pushback on this is maybe a tiny bit exaggerated because people don't want to happen this year what happened last year, but really this staging is absolutely gorgeous. I think Ukraine are the best stagers in the entire competition ever. It's very beautiful, really cool and slick. It's got a futuristic feel. Jeffrey's vocals are really beautiful. Their fashion is incredible, as we expected. They're very fashionable people. I think Andrew's got good energy. Often we see when someone's on the decks, it can look a little bit awkward or kind kind of goofy, or they're kind of going, ooh. Andrew's kind of giving like a cool bouncy energy throughout the whole thing. The interactive LEDs are really awesome. I love the dancers who come out and they're playing with these globes. It's really well coordinated, really like high quality dancing, especially at the end as well when we get into like the very fast beat and the dancers having to hit their moves very quickly. It looks perfectly done. There's some pyro, there's build up throughout the song. The violins coming in are really dramatic. So there's so much super cool stuff here. If this gets top 10, I think it deserves it. I know everyone's immediately going to say that it's like a pity thing, but it's not. This is really classy. It's got a different feel as well. It's got like an R&B electronic feel. The styling's different, the color palette's different, the presentation has a different feel. Everything about it's really unique. It's got a depth to it because it's showing off the Ukrainian culture and passion. So in 20th we have Alessandra. Now, I was watching the jury final last night and I thought that she missed her whistle note. She also missed a lyric as well. Now, the missed lyric, I saw a clip of it, and honestly, she covered it pretty well. She in a very professional way. I thought she covered that really well. The whistle note, it's like a blue gold dress thing, because someone posted it online, and some people were like, I think it sounds great. I think it sounds a tiny bit off. The fact that it's not such an obvious thing, I don't know if it's going to make that big of a difference. Most of the jurors will have already heard the songs. I think most of them have made their mind up about what they like. They're going to know, okay, that's not what it actually sounds like. I know the real version and it's very good. So I don't think I'll mark it down too much. But if we're talking about Norway winning, I would kind of think that everything would have to go perfect for them to be in contention to win. I'm not saying that you can't win because of the whistle vote, but I think there was like 5 or 6 ifs that would have to happen for her to win, and one of them would be flawless performance. So yeah, even if she got in the whistle note, I still think quite a few other things need to happen for her to win. In terms of a dark horse, someone who's very consistent across the jury and the televote, I think she has the potential to do that, because this does have jury appeal and it definitely has televote appeal as well. So she still could have a chance, and she's in the second half, kind of one of the biggest hitters who's in the second half, so she'll stand out for that as well. Now in 21st we have Germany. I already spoke a little bit earlier about how they're being separated from Australia. I'm totally obsessed with this. This performance is totally bombastic, really energetic, beautiful symmetry with these triangles and the color palette. Last night Chris did a very different vocal. It was like really gruff and it felt like much lower in his throat. It sounded very technically difficult and more like gargly or something. It was really intense. It sounded like it's the type of vocal that you couldn't do too often because it would damage your voice eventually. So I wonder if that's something he saved just for the jury show. He also did, I wouldn't call it a jury note, but it was actually almost a jury note at the end where he kind of like sang in an almost like pop way. If that was intentional, I absolutely love that Chris Harms is aware of jury notes. I think this has been underrated in general. I really hope the jury rewards this, because we need to get out of this thing that the jury penalize non-pop songs. I do feel like anything outside the pop genre is up against it, because this is a fantastic glam rock song. Like, this is really excellent. I think this should be top. I think this should be left side of the scoreboard in the jury personally. Just the performance quality is exceptional. Every single member of the band giving their energy. Chris is amazing. The vocals are fantastic. The production's great. The show is fantastic. And televote, I think this is going to be a surprise. I don't see why people are going to react to Croatia and Finland being so crazy bombastic and energizing and not react to this glam rock with incredible costume, super different style and performance, really attention grabbing. I'll be devastated if this doesn't get a reaction from the televote. I think it could be a little bit of a dark horse in the televote personally. It did cross my mind that maybe Germany could win. I know that's totally ridiculous, but I have to admit, the thought did pop into my head and I was like, ooh, I'm okay with that. I was thinking of Lordi at the time, but keep in mind with Lordi, there was no jury. Okay, 22nd we have Lithuania. Gorgeous performance. Again, another really solid vocalist who can perform the song perfectly every single time. I think the Lithuanian diaspora will come up and help her, but I think realistically mid-table would be a good result for this. Just a little bit too on the safe side in terms of song. Next we have Israel in 23rd. Potentially she did really well in her semi-final. This is a great draw for her. This is my biggest grower, I think, of the entire contest. Now Germany as well is a big grower for me. I think this is almost in my top 10. Yeah, spectacular show. That key moment after the breakdance where she does like very fast dance with her dancers and then flips up and we have that LED pop up is one of the standout moments for the whole contest for me. That 3-second segment which they use in the recap is just so impactful. Really incredible artistry, like pop artistry, and her vocals are amazing every single time in my opinion. And the fact that she's able to dance around so high intensity, doing flips on the floor, running back and forth, and her vocals sound great the whole thing. I don't think she gets enough credit for that. It's really impressive. Who knows? Could be a little bit of a dark horse. She's got a very good running order. 24th for Slovenia. I love that they've been given a great slot as well. Really lovely guys. Could this have been a potential shock win of the second semi-final? We'll find out later tonight. Really rooting for them. Lovely people. I want Slovenia to get their first top 12 since 2001. That would be a really happy moment. I'm not sure if they're aware of that statistic. Either way, Slovenia back in the final is great, and I hope that this starts a little bit of a trajectory for them, that they're gonna like up their game, seeing that when they send like really experienced, high quality, that they're rewarded for it immediately with a qualification and a good running order. Okay, hopefully you can see this says Croatia there. Sorry, I had to put this here so it didn't fall over. Yeah, Croatia. those fake results said that Croatia won the semi-final, which I think Croatia did well. I don't think they won the semi-final. I think that person was making up those fake results based off the YouTube views, because this has the most views, because I think it is a little bit of a thing you'd show to friends, like, look at this crazy thing that happened. The lead singer's been sick. He sounded good in the jury show. I think he pulled it off, which is very impressive, because having to come out and do such a loud, do such a strong vocal and energetic performance when you're unwell, he's a professional, so that's why he was able to pull it off. They've got some of the best LEDs this year. Yeah, really great that Croatia are back in the final as well, and I also hope this starts a good trajectory for Croatia as well, because, you know, they had 4 non-qualifications before this, maybe playing it a little bit kind of too safe and poppy, and now I think maybe they might start to send something a little bit different in a similar way that like Austria are and Serbia and whatnot. So yeah, I would love to see that progression for them. And then finally we have the UK. So in the jury final last night, I think that she was pretty good. She's very good in the verses and the spoken word. She sounds very good there. In the chorus, it sounds like she's lacking a little bit of power and forcefulness. She does have a backing up singer, but yeah, it's still passable. It's not an absolute disaster at all. I hope that she does well, because the right-wing press in the UK are really looking to jump on her. She does a bit where she sticks out her tongue after she comes down the stairs, which I absolutely love, because she's very charming. So I like that she brings that personality into the performance, and she's very funny. She's a very witty woman, and she's just a really lovely person in general. So I really do hope that this maybe comes mid-table. I'm a tiny bit concerned that it could be towards the edge of bottom 5, just because the standard's high. This is like, there's no obvious last place here. I know everyone's jumping to say Poland's going to be last, but I think it's tough to pick a last place from here. I definitely don't think we're getting any zeros this year. I'd be very surprised if we have any zeros in the jury or the televote. I'm not going to pick a last place person. That's just not a conversation I want to start, but it is a tough thing to decide. Yeah, so overall, my key things about the running order, we have this very intense period. The second half, I think, is really, really great variation. Everyone is able to pop because they stand out, because the songs either side of them are quite different and their color palettes are different. So everyone has a chance to shine in the second half, so we could have a potential person doing better than expected, because that running order can really highlight them. Their sound, their look is going to just pop. Carrier definitely pops after that intense period. All in all, it is an absolutely spectacular final. I hope that wherever you're watching it, you have a really, really great time. I'm sorry I can't live stream. We're not allowed live stream from the press center. It is banned this year. I am going to be tweeting though, so I'll be on Twitter. If you want to talk with me during the performances, I will be tweeting hopefully every single performance and my thoughts and who did great and whatnot. I will film my reaction. Hopefully I can film a reaction to both the jury results and the televote as well. I'll try to be more prepared with a tripod this time, so that I'm not freehanding, because I keep getting hand cramp. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to tomorrow, which is going to be very, very depressing. Don't worry, I'm going to have lots of content going through all the stats. We'll get all the results of the semi-finals and the points breakdown and all that kind of stuff, so I will obviously go through that. I am going to Turkey on Monday. I'll explain later. I'm not going to explain why I'm going to Turkey right now, but I am. That needs to be a separate video. I have tomorrow still in my hotel, so I'm going to start working and all that, and I'll be tweeting about everything as well. So let me know what you think about the running order. Who do you think it favors? Who do you think is in a little bit of trouble? Who do you think is going to win the jury? And who do you think is going to win the televote? And do you think there will be any surprises from either of them? Please leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you like this analysis video and you want to see more, don't forget to check out some of these other videos that I will put here for you. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and thanks so much for watching. See you in another Eurovision analysis video soon. Goodbye. Blah, 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 blah.